Hello friends, welcome in my channel Word of Oracle. In today's session, we will discuss about the basic concepts of PLSQL. What is PLSQL? Okay, let's start. First of all, in this session, I will cover the basic concepts of PLSQL. After completing this lesson, you should be able to describe the fundamental concepts of PLSQL programming language, what is PLSQL, how it works, how to write and execute the PLSQL programs in SQL Plus, what are the data types that used in PLSQL, how to display the outputs, what things that we must remember to display the PLSQL program output, how to manipulate the character strings in PLSQL scripts programs, and how to debug the PLSQL programs. All these concepts will be covered after completing this lesson. You should able to do this all concepts. Okay, let's start. You are familiar with SQL concept. SQL, you know, SQL is a structured query language. Then what is PLSQL? PLSQL is nothing but the procedural language. Means what? The programming concepts which are used with SQL. That's why it is a procedural language extensions to SQL. Means in SQL, we can't execute the programming concepts like if statement, looping statements, procedural concepts that we can't execute in SQL. To extend the SQL, PLSQL is there, and in PLSQL we can execute, we can write the program for looping, for conditional statements. We can use the procedures, functions, triggers after various objects of the database. That's why PLSQL stands for the procedural language extensions to SQL. Okay, here in Oracle Corporation, the standard data access language is considered as a PLSQL. Means in Oracle, PLSQL is used as a standard language for the database accession, relational database accession. Here in this diagram, you see that the SQL is there. SQL is nothing but the statement. There are different statements to access the database. But when we access the database, relational database, we must execute some procedural concepts, some programming concepts, and that programming concepts are not separately included in a SQL. With SQL, we must use the programming concept, procedural concepts. That concepts are nothing but the PLSQL. It becomes the PLSQL. Means when we include the programming concepts, procedural concepts with SQL, it becomes a PLSQL. Okay. Then what are the features of PLSQL? When you consider the features of PLSQL, there are number of features, number of characteristics of PLSQL. First of all, PLSQL is tightly integrated with SQL. Tightly integrated with SQL means what? It is completely with SQL. Without SQL, we can't execute the PLSQL. It is a part of SQL. That's why it is tightly integrated with SQL. If we consider the SQL, the PLSQL is a part of SQL. That's why we can say that PLSQL is tightly integrated with SQL. Here in PLSQL, we can execute, we can check the errors. Here it means PLSQL offers the extensive error checking. That is not possible in SQL. In SQL, we can't check the errors. What type of errors are there? How these errors are handled? That can't be done in SQL. But in PLSQL, we can check the errors. We can handle our own errors as well as inbuilt errors. That's why PLSQL offers the extensive error checking. It offers different types of databases, including SQL databases also. Okay. There are a number of features of PLSQL. It offers the programming structures. As you know, PLSQL, PL stands for programming language, procedural language concepts used with SQL. That's why it offers various programming concept, programming structures that we can include in our PLSQL program. Okay. It supports the structural programming by using the functions as well as procedures. Means we can create our own functions, we can create our own procedures in PLSQL. Means PLSQL offers the structural concepts by using the structural programming concepts by using the functions and procedures. Okay. It supports the object-oriented programming concepts, programming with object-oriented programming concepts. All these are the features of PLSQL. It supports the web applications as well as server pages. Means what? We can use the web scripts with PLSQL. Means we can write the program in PLSQL to develop the web applications. Means PLSQL supports the web applications and different server pages, server scripts, web scripts. Okay. There are a number of features. When we see towards the PLSQL, it have different characteristics. Then how PLSQL gives the different advantages. Okay, here it is the standard database language. SQL is the standard database language, and with SQL, PLSQL is strongly integrated. It supports the dynamic SQL as well as static SQL. Means PLSQL supports both the dynamic SQL statements as well as static SQL statements. The static SQL statements means what? When we perform the operations and transactions by using the DML statements in PLSQL block, that statements are nothing but the static statements. When we use the specific particular type of statements, particular type of operations and transactions in PLSQL block, that type of statements are the static statements. And in dynamic statements, dynamic SQL, it allows the embedding the DDL statements, data definition language statements in PLSQL blocks. Dynamic statements means DDL statements which are embedded with PLSQL, and static statements means DML operations, DML transactions which are used in PLSQL blocks. This is the main advantage of PLSQL, that it supports both static as well as dynamic SQL. Beside this advantage, there is one of the most advantage of the PLSQL is that it sends the entire block of statements to a database at one time. As you know, in SQL, we execute the one statement at a time. We can't execute multiple statements at a time. But in PLSQL, we can execute the entire block of statements to the database at a one execution, at a one time. That's why it reduces the network traffic and provides the high performance for the applications. Means execution will be done fastly. That's why your performance will be increased. This is the main advantage of PLSQL. Another main advantage of PLSQL, you may say that it is the another main advantage of PLSQL, that PLSQL allows sending an entire block of statements to the database at one time. That's why it reduces the network traffic and provides the high performance for the applications. Another advantage of PLSQL is that it gives the high productivity to programmers, as it can query, transform, and update the data in a database. As it performs fastly, it reduces the network traffic. That's why it increases the productivity of the programmer by querying, by transforming, and by updating the data in database. All these are the advantages of PLSQL. Okay. It can PLSQL saves the time on designing, debugging by strong features, by applying the exception handling concept, encapsulation, data hiding, object-oriented data type. All these are the features of PLSQL. That's why it becomes an advantage of PLSQL to save the time on designing and debugging of the programs. Okay, you can easily debug the program by using different features of the PLSQL. All these are the advantages of PLSQL. It is fully portable. Another advantage of PLSQL is it is the fully portable. You can execute it on any platform. It provides the security, obviously. Then it provides the access to predefined packages, SQL packages. Then it supports the object-oriented programming concepts. All are the advantages of PLSQL. It supports the web applications and server pages, etc., etc. All these are the PLSQL advantages. After that, we will discuss what are the difference between SQL and PLSQL. You know the SQL and you somewhat know about the PLSQL. Then what are the main differences between SQL and PLSQL? Obviously, both are the same. Both are integrated with each other. You may call it the PLSQL is totally integrated with SQL. But there are some differences between SQL and PLSQL. What these differences are? First one, SQL is a single query language that is used to execute the DML and DDL operations. In SQL, we execute a single query at a time, and that queries may be a DML queries or DDL queries or DCL queries to perform the different operations on a database. But in PLSQL, it is a block of code. It is a block of structure. It is a code block which is used to write the entire program blocks, procedures, functions, etc. Here, SQL is a single query language, whereas PLSQL is a code block. And in that code block, we can write the entire program block, which include the different procedures, functions, trigger programs, cursors, etc., etc. Okay. Second difference is that SQL is a declarative. Means what? It defines what need to be done rather than how things need to be done. Means in SQL, we say what to do and how output will be executed. That's why it is a declarative. SQL is a declarative. Means what? We define when we execute the query, when we type the query, when we execute the query, we say, we indicate what we want and how we want. That's why SQL is a declarative, but PLSQL is a procedure. Here we define how things need to be done. How things need to be done. That's why it is a procedure. We execute we code the block, how to do this. But what type of output will be there, we don't know. That's why it is a procedural language. PLSQL is a procedural which defines how the things need to be done, whereas SQL is a declarative that defines what need to be done rather than how things need to be done. Okay. Another difference is that it is a single statement execution. SQL is the single statement execution. It executes the single statement at a time. Whereas PLSQL executes a complete block, entire block of PLSQL. It is used, SQL is particularly used to manipulate the data only. Whereas PLSQL is used to create an application, whole application. SQL interaction is with the database server, whereas PLSQL doesn't interact with the database server. There is no interaction of PLSQL with database server, whereas SQL directly interact with the database server. It directly query with the database server, whereas PLSQL does not interact with the database server. In SQL, we cannot integrate, we cannot embed the PLSQL code, but in PLSQL, we can integrate, we can embed the SQL statements, we can embed the SQL queries. That's why it is the extension of SQL. PLSQL is the extension of SQL so that we can, it can contain the SQL statements inside it. These are some differences between SQL and PLSQL. Okay, now moving towards the basic structure of PLSQL. Okay, how PLSQL engine works, or you may call as the PLSQL architecture diagram. How PLSQL executes its blocks. First of all, we discuss about the PLSQL engine. What is PLSQL engine? Here, in PLSQL, that its engine is the component where the actual processing of the codes takes place. PLSQL engine is the main component where the actual processing of PLSQL code block takes place. it separates. When we execute a PLSQL code block towards the PLSQL engine, it separates the PLSQL concepts and SQL concepts different. It separates the SQL statements, SQL queries separately, and PLSQL concepts separately, PLSQL units separately. Okay. Here, in PLSQL block, there are both statements, SQL statements as well as PLSQL statements. When you execute this PLSQL block towards the engine, when you send this PLSQL blocks to execute towards the engine, PLSQL engine, first of all, PLSQL engine separates the SQL statements and PLSQL units. Okay. Then after separation, PLSQL units will be handled by the PLSQL engine itself. Here, PLSQL engine handles the all PLSQL concepts, PLSQL units, and whereas SQL is transferred towards the database server. Here, SQL parts will be sent towards the database server, where the actual interaction with the database takes place. Means PLSQL block contains both types of statements, SQL statements as well as PLSQL units. PLSQL block after sending towards the PLSQL engine separates both statements, SQL and PLSQL statements. PLSQL engine handle the PLSQL statements, whereas SQL statements are transferred towards the database server to interact with the database. Then what is a database server? This is the important component of PLSQL unit where the data stores. PLSQL engine uses the SQL form PLSQL units to interact with the database server, and it consists of SQL executed, which parses the SQL statements and execute the same. This is all about the PLSQL engine. Okay. Then what PLSQL program block contains, how it executes, how this program block will be. Here in PLSQL block, there are main three sections. First one is the declaration section. Second one is the body section, execution section. And third one is the end section. Declaration, body, and end section. In between execution section, you can include the exception section as an optional section, right? Here in declaration section, we declare the different variables, constants, cursors, whatever we required in our program, in our execution section, that all variables are declared in declaration section. In execution section, actual execution of the statements will be there. In execution section, we can include the exception section as an optional part to handle the exceptional cases, error handling statements. We must include the exception section. It is the optional section. The execution section is the compulsory section, mandatory section, required section. Declaration section is also optional section. After that, you must include the end keyword here to indicate the end of PLSQL. In PLSQL, comments are included in forward slash and star mark, and for single comments, we can include the two hyphens, two dashes there. Okay. Now, how to write a simple PLSQL block? I am sharing the SQL environment where we write the simple PLSQL block. Okay. Here is your environment, SQL environment, where I am connecting with database as a system user. You are connected as a system user. First of all, you must activate the set server output on. PUT on. It means what? When you on the server output, when you on the server output, then only you can display your output on a screen. Okay. Now write the program in Notepad. Okay. Declare. First of all, declare section is there. Declare. In declare section, declare the variables, whatever you want to use in PLSQL program in executable section. Okay. For example, I am declaring something employee number as a number. Okay. Then begin section. In begin section, accept the employee number from the user. That's why assign the employee number. This is assignment operator, ampersand ENO. Then after accessing the employee number from the user, update the salary of that employee. 1 second. Here we must check the table. Select the star from 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we select star from tab. We must use the table. Then which tables are there? For that I am executing the select EMP trail is there. Okay, select star from EMP 12. Okay, EMP 12 underscore is there. EMP underscore 12. Okay. One record is there, no problem. We use this table for the program. Update the salary of that employee. For that, update EMP 12 set sal is equal to sal plus 200, where ENO is equal to where EMPNO. EMPNO is the table column. EMPNO is equal to ENO is our variable for the employee number. Okay. DBMS OUT PUT output dot put line. This is the package by which we can display our output. DBMS output dot put line. This is the package. DBMS output is the package and put line is the function used with DBMS output package line. Salary updated. Okay, this is a simple program. End the program for in end section. Use the keyword end to end the program and forward slash enter. Okay. Now copy this program in SQL environment. Execute it. Enter the value for employee number. We are entering the value 101. Yes, PLSQL procedure successfully completed and our output is salary updated. Now check whether salary is updated or not. Select the table, select star from EMP 12. Okay. Yes, salary is updated by adding the 200 rupees. Okay. Okay. Here is about the PLSQL concept, PLSQL basic concept. Okay, guys, thank you. We will meet in next session with another video. Thank you.